There are many aspects of any religious icon that should be questioned. Muhammad's life and his teachings are due criticism as well. I mean, we discuss everyone else from Jesus, Buddha, and everyone in between, right? So why not evaluate Muhammad? Today we're discussing the Islamic State. We know that the Islamic terror network is infamous for its killing tactics, its evil doings. Now, the Western mindset, really, it's hard for us to accept what they do as modern. I mean, we don't accept their leadership as legitimate. And oftentimes in the West, many people assume that ISIS is a bunch of rogue thugs seeking power and wreaking havoc. But my question today is this: is Islam, as practiced by ISIS, a religion of violence that encourages the maiming and the murder of those who refuse to accept it? ISIS themselves have enforced cruelty upon the Iraqis and the Syrians, so they really believe in what they're doing, and they attribute it to Islam. To answer our question today, the search for correlations between ISIS tactics and the early Islamic era of Muhammad, it continues. Because for me, when I compare the two eras, I can't help but to see things that need to be discussed. For example, Muhammad approving the death of a girl named Asma bint Marwan. This story is particularly disturbing because she was killed while breastfeeding her child. Asma was a poetess from the city of Medina, and she opposed Muhammad with her poetry. So when Muhammad realized what she was reciting or saying in her poetry, he's quoted as saying, "Who will rid me of this daughter of Marwan?" So a devout follower of Muhammad enters Asma's house in the night, 5 children around her, including the one she was breastfeeding. This man takes the baby away and stabs Asma in her heart. Now, when Muhammad was told what his follower had did, this was his response. He says, "No 2 goats will lock heads over her." Now, in modern day, that's like saying, who in the world cares? So in 1400 years of history, maybe Asma seems to have died in vain, not remembered, maybe even looked down upon by some people. But today I consider her a hero of free speech. She was clearly living before her time. Another story that shows some correlation between ISIS tactics and Islam is the story of Kurfa. Kurfa's story is incredible. It's horrifying. This incident occurred about 6 years after Muhammad moved to Medina. So there was a tribe called Banu Fazara. When Banu Fazara were attacked by Muhammad and his warriors, the tribe concocted a plan to retaliate or to kill Muhammad, but they were overpowered by the Muslims. So a mother named Kurfa and her daughter escaped the raids, and they escaped the raids narrowly, but they soon became prisoners. And upon their capture, the mother was handed to one of Muhammad's followers named Qais. Qais takes the woman and tied her limbs to camels, and then beat the camels, whipped them so that the camels could charge opposite directions, literally tearing Kurfa apart limb by limb. What happened to her daughter? Her daughter was now orphaned, then sold into slavery. The oldest, most reliable historian on the life of Muhammad explains that the attack was led by Zayd bin Haritha. So then Zayd then orders Qais to execute Kurfa. And what's interesting is Ibn Ishaq, on his biography of Muhammad, page 980 of the life of Muhammad, says that she was, quote, cruelly killed. So if we follow the trail, we see that this whole tragedy, at the root of it, was initiated and inspired by Muhammad.